Ethan Ward had traveled through many corners of the galaxy, but he had never seen a signal like this one. His small explorer ship floated alone in the endless dark, guided only by the blinking lights on his control panel. For weeks, he had crossed empty space, hoping to find something new, something that reminded him why humanity sent explorers in the first place. Then it appeared. A strange energy wave, soft and steady, pulsing from a hidden part of space where no star maps reached. His heart beat faster as he leaned closer to the scanner. The readings made no sense. It wasn't a star, and it wasn't a ship. It was a world. Ethan adjusted his thrusters and set a course. Hours later, the planet came into view, glowing faintly with a blue haze that circled its surface. He could see green continents, silver rivers, and strange golden forests shining under the light of two pale suns. It looked alive. It looked untouched. "Computer," he whispered to himself, "prepare landing sequence." The ship lowered through clouds that shimmered like glass. His eyes widened as he saw the land below. There were ruins, massive stone structures, shaped like spirals, half covered in vines, but still standing strong. Between the ruins were fields of crops, gardens glowing with bright colors, and cities with tall crystalline towers that looked like they were made of frozen light. When his ship touched the soft ground, silence filled the cabin. Ethan sat still for a moment. He felt like the first man to step on a forgotten dream. The hatch opened with a hiss. Warm air brushed against his skin, carrying the smell of flowers and earth. He stepped outside, boots pressing into the soil. The world felt peaceful, almost sacred. But as he walked toward the nearest tower, he sensed eyes watching him. Shapes moved between the glowing trees. At first, he thought they were shadows. Then, figures stepped forward. They were women. Dozens of them appeared from the forest.
Oh.
Each dressed in flowing garments made from woven silver threads and natural fabrics. Their eyes were sharp and bright, reflecting wisdom and curiosity. Some held staffs with crystal tips, glowing faintly like lanterns. Ethan froze. His voice caught in his throat. "Hello, I mean no harm. My name is Ethan Ward. I'm from Earth." The women studied him quietly. Their expressions shifted between awe, suspicion, and wonder. One of them, taller than the rest, walked forward. Her hair was long and dark, braided with beads that caught the sunlight. Her presence was calm but strong, like a leader. "You are." She hesitated, searching for words. "A man," Ethan blinked. "Yes. Is that unusual here?" A ripple of whispers spread among the women. Their leader lifted her hand to silence them. She looked at Ethan again, her face softening, but her voice steady. "It has been 200 years since this world last saw a man." The word struck him like thunder. 200 years? He looked around, suddenly aware of the weight of their stares. The leader introduced herself. "I am Soraya, keeper of the council. You stand on Lysera, our home. Long ago, a sickness came. It took every man from our people. Only women survived. Since then, we have lived, built, and endured." Ethan tried to take it in. An entire civilization, surviving without men for centuries? It seemed impossible, yet the evidence was before his eyes. Their cities, their crops, their order. "You must understand," Soraya continued, "your presence is more than strange. It is a miracle." The women stepped closer now, no longer hiding their emotions. Some looked at him with curiosity, some with joy, and a few with fear. He could feel their questions pressing against him. Where did he come from? Why was he here? What did it mean that after 2 centuries, a man had returned? Ethan raised his hand slightly, trying to calm the air. "I didn't plan this. I followed a signal. I don't want to disturb your lives, I just—" He paused, unsure of what truth to give. "I just wanted to explore. To see what was out here." Soraya studied him with deep eyes. Then she nodded. "You will come with us. The council must see you. They will decide what this means." Ethan walked with them toward the shining city, As they entered, he saw more wonders. Streets paved with crystal stones glowed beneath their feet. Towers spiraled high, their surfaces alive with shifting colors. The air hummed with gentle energy, as though the entire city was breathing. Yet what surprised him most was the people. Everywhere he looked, he saw women working, teaching, growing plants, guiding machines powered by light. Children played in the gardens, laughter ringing in the air. It was a world thriving, yet carrying a silent emptiness. The council chamber was a wide hall shaped like a star, with seats arranged in circles. Soraya led him to the center, where elder women with silver hair sat in quiet dignity. They studied him as though he were both a guest and a puzzle. One of the elders spoke, her voice soft but firm. "For 2 centuries we have survived without men. We have learned to feed ourselves, to grow, to keep the old knowledge alive. But still, something fades. Our numbers shrink. The methods we use to create life cannot last forever. And now, after all these years, one man stands before us." Ethan shifted uncomfortably. He could feel the weight of expectation pressing against him. He had come here as an explorer, not a savior. Yet the looks on their faces told him they saw more than just a traveler. Another elder leaned forward. "Do you understand, stranger? To us, you are not only a man, you are a chance. A chance we thought lost forever." Ethan's chest tightened. He didn't know what to say. He wanted to speak of caution, of not rushing into hope. But deep inside, he also felt a strange pull, a sense that his journey had led him here for a reason. That night, as he rested in a guest chamber filled with soft light and quiet air, Ethan looked out over the city of Lysera. The women's voices still echoed in his mind. 200 years without men. A people waiting for something they could not name. The morning light on Lysera was different from Earth. 2 suns painted the sky in shades of gold and pale blue, making the city shimmer as if built from living glass. Ethan stood on the balcony of his chamber, staring at the world below. Women moved gracefully through the streets, carrying baskets, tending gardens, guiding floating machines that glowed with gentle energy. Life here seemed peaceful. Yet he could sense something deeper, something hidden under the surface. Soon, Soraya entered. She looked calm, but Ethan noticed the firmness in her steps. "The council wants to speak with you again," she said. Ethan followed her through winding halls. Everywhere he walked, eyes followed him. Some women watched with open curiosity, whispering as he passed. Others avoided his gaze, unsure what to think of his presence. For them, he was not just a travel, he was a reminder of a world they had lost. The council chamber was filled with soft light as the elders sat waiting. Soraya guided him to the center. An elder with silver-white hair rose. "Ethan Ward of Earth," she began, "you must know the truth of our survival." Ethan listened carefully. The elder explained how, after the plague, the women of Lysera had used fragments of ancient technology to continue their line. Through science and selective growth, they had kept life going. But it was not perfect. Each generation grew smaller, weaker. Their numbers were slowly fading. "Our strength is in our knowledge and unity," the elder said, her voice calm but heavy with sorrow. "But knowledge cannot fight time. We are nearing the edge of what is possible without balance." And now, a man stands among us again. A silence filled the chamber. Ethan could feel the weight of their stares. He shifted uneasily. "I don't know what you expect from me," he admitted. "I'm just one man. An explorer. I never came here to see." To carry such a burden, Soraya stepped forward, her tone gentle but steady. "We do not ask you to carry it alone, but your presence changes everything. Some see hope. Others see danger. Already voices rise in debate." Ethan frowned. "Debate?" Soraya nodded. "There are those who believe you are the answer, that with you, our people can begin again in a way we thought impossible. But others fear what your return means. They fear old ways will return to, ways they believe caused the sickness that destroyed the men long ago. To them, you are a threat to the order we have built." Ethan felt his chest tighten. He had expected curiosity, maybe even gratitude, but not division. "I never wanted to cause conflict," he said quietly. The elder looked at him kindly. "Conflict is not always harm. Sometimes it is the beginning of change." That day, Sariah guided him through the city so he could understand more. The capital of Lysera was a place of wonders. Towers made of crystal stretched high into the sky, glowing with energy drawn from living plants. Canals ran with shining water, carrying light instead of liquid. Everywhere women worked together in harmony, farmers growing crops that glowed with their own light. Engineers tuning great machines that hummed softly like music. Teachers guiding children under the shade of golden trees. Yet Ethan noticed things others might miss. There were fewer children than he expected. Whole areas of the city felt quiet, as if once crowded but now empty. And in the eyes of some of the women, he saw not just curiosity but worry-fear that time was slipping away in one courtyard. A group of younger women gathered around him. One asked boldly, "Is it true? On Earth, there are still men and women living together." "Yes," Ethan said softly. "On Earth, both survive. Together, their faces lit with wonder." Another whispered, "Then it is possible. Life does not have to end." But from the edge of the courtyard, a stern voice cut through. A woman in armor, her eyes sharp, stepped forward. She was part of the city guard. "Do not be blinded," she warned. "This man brings questions we are not ready to answer. For 2 centuries, we lived in balance. We do not need old ways to return." The younger women grew silent. Ethan could feel the tension like a storm about to break. That night, Sariah joined him on the balcony. The twin suns had set, and the sky was filled with glowing stars. "You see now," she said softly. "Some welcome you. Some fear you. Yet all know you cannot be ignored." Ethan leaned against the railing, staring at the stars. "I never asked for this. I wanted to explore, to discover, not to become a symbol." Sarai's eyes softened. "Symbols are rarely chosen. They are born in moments such as this. You are more than a traveler to us. You are a piece of what was lost. And with that comes the question, will you help us shape what is to come?" Ethan turned to face her. "But what if I fail? What if I make things worse?" She gave a small, sad smile. "Then you will still have tried. And sometimes trying is enough to change a path." For hours, Ethan lay awake in his chamber, thoughts swirling. He remembered Earth's his people, his world filled with both triumphs and struggles. Humanity had its flaws, yes, but also its resilience. Wasn't that the reason explorers like him were sent into the stars? To carry that resilience forward, to bring hope where it was fading? As the night deepened, he realized something important. The women of Lysera did not only see him as a man, they saw him as a mirror of possibility, a reminder that humanity was meant to be whole, not divided. When the morning came, he knew a choice was waiting. He could turn back, leave this world, and let them continue toward slow decline. Or he could stay, face the burden, and offer what little he had: his knowledge, his spirit, his humanity. As he stood once more before the council, the voices of the city echoing in his mind, Ethan took a deep breath. He did not yet know the words, but he knew the path. The city of Lysera shone under the twin suns, but an uneasiness hung in the air. Ethan could feel it the moment he stepped outside his chamber. The women spoke in hushed tones. The guards looked restless at their posts. Something was wrong. Sariah met him with worry in her eyes. "The energy core is failing," she explained. "It powers our entire city, our fields, our machines, even the crystals that keep our homes alive. Without it, all we have built will collapse." Ethan's heart sank. He had seen the glowing heart of the city once before, a great crystal tower that pulsed with living light. It was beautiful, but he remembered thinking it looked fragile. Now that beauty was breaking. The council gathered quickly. Elders whispered to one another, their calm voices carrying a heavy fear. One spoke aloud. "For centuries, the core has given us life. But the systems that sustain it are failing. We no longer understand the science that made it." Ethan stepped forward slowly. "Maybe I can help." The chamber fell silent. Dozens of eyes turned to him. "You? one elder asked, her tone filled with doubt. I'm not a scientist like those who built this place, Ethan admitted, but I've studied technology. I've worked with power systems, engines, and energy reactors. If you'll let me try, I might be able to stabilize it. At least for now. The women exchanged looks. Some hopeful, some fearful. Soraya's voice broke through the silence. We have little choice. If we do nothing, our world will fade. Let him try. Ethan was guided to the core chamber, deep within the heart of the city. The air grew warmer as they descended, until he stood before the crystal tower. Once bright and steady, it now flickered weakly, sending shadows across the walls. Sparks leaped from the base where old machines hummed and groaned, like a heart struggling to beat. He knelt beside the controls, brushing dust from ancient panels. The markings were strange, yet familiar enough for him to understand their purpose. This is more advanced than anything on Earth, he murmured. But the principles are the same: energy, flow, balance. Hours passed as he worked. Sweat ran down his brow. He adjusted conduits, redirected power, sealed cracks in the flow lines. At one point, sparks erupted, and the women gasped, but Ethan kept his hand steady. Come on, he whispered to the machine, as if it were alive. Hold together. You can do this. Finally, he pulled a final lever, and the entire chamber shook. For a moment, the core went dark. Fear swept the room. But then, with a sudden surge, the crystal flared bright again. Light poured through the chamber, steady and strong. The hum returned, smooth and alive. The city above responded instantly. Towers glowed brighter. Streets lit up once more. The faint gardens regained their shimmer. Cheers rose from the women as the news spread Ethan had saved the core. Soraya placed her hand on his shoulder, her eyes shining with relief. You have given us time. You have given us hope. But Ethan shook his head. This is only a repair. The deeper problem still remains. Your people need more than a fixed machine. You need balance. You need both halves of humanity. The council gathered again that evening. For the first time in centuries, joy filled the chamber, mixed with serious thought. One elder spoke. You came to us as a stranger, Ethan Ward, and yet you saved us when we had no answer. Perhaps this is what we needed to see, not only a man, but the strength of humanity itself. Another added softly, we believed we had built enough, but in truth we were only half. Alone, we fade. Together, we endure. The words carried through the room. The division that had threatened to break them earlier began to heal. Those who had feared Ethan now saw his courage, his willingness to act not for himself, but for all of them. That night, as the city celebrated, Ethan stood with Soraya on the balcony overlooking the glowing towers. Music filled the air, children laughed in the streets, and the stars above seemed brighter than ever. You could leave, Soraya said quietly. Your ship still waits. You could return to Earth, tell your people what you found. Ethan looked at the sky, then back at the city. I could, he admitted. But something tells me I shouldn't. Humanity isn't about living apart. It's about coming together. Maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. Maybe my journey was always meant to lead here, Soraya smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the twin moons rising over the horizon. Then perhaps destiny brought you Ethan Ward, not just for us, but for yourself. Ethan took a deep breath. For the first time, he felt the weight of his choice settle into peace. He would stay. He would help. Not because he was a savior, but because he was human, and that meant building bridges where there were none, carrying hope where it was fading. As the celebration carried on, Ethan whispered to himself, this is what it means to be human. To face the unknown, to fight for tomorrow, and to never give up.